Welcome to Thomasville Insights with the City of Thomasville. On the podcast, we'll talk to experts on everything from Thomasville history and events to daily operations and city business, all while having some fun in the process.
And welcome to the City of Thomasville and our show, Thomasville Insights. We're so glad to have y'all with us today. My name is Austin Reams, and I am here with Ricky, the Great Zambrano. We're working out nicknames. I hadn't figured it out yet, Ricky, but I will find something at some point. Again, glad you're here today. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great, except that we gotta get past this great thing because that's reserved for our guest. He's one of the great ones that we have in our team Thomasville. So we're excited to have him here, but we'll get to him in a minute. So let's go back to our little game that we played in our last episode, and let's get right into it. So tell us, Austin, something else that people may not know about you, or something else that's interesting about you.
Well, it's hard to find something interesting, Ricky. So we'll see what I can do here. But I would say that to tie into today's show, one of the things that I like doing is prescribed burning. So it's one of those things I kind of grew up doing and still to this day will do. And again, that's kind of something native to this area. But basically, once a year, when the weather's right and the humidity's correct, you drop fire, and it really takes care of the woods and things like that. So kind of restores it in some way. So that kind of stuff is real interesting to me. So we'll talk about that a little bit today. So, but that ties in today's show. So now, something interesting from you, Ricky.
But it's so interesting. I tell you what. So one of the world's best soccer players, Pelé.
Okay, I thought you were going to say
not
you
myself,
were one
far
of the
from.
okay.
That's like on the other side of the extreme.
Yeah.
I got to meet him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I met him when I was a little boy. My brother, when we lived in New York, actually went to the New York Cosmos soccer camp, and grew a pretty good relationship with him throughout the week. And Pelé's the type of guy that he was actually at his camp.
Yeah, some of those guys aren't.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. And wasn't just a guest appearance like one day. I mean, he was there the whole week, built a good relationship, and he asked to meet my brother's family at the conclusion of the camp. And he came over in typical, fashion with my family. It was a tailgate party, to come to the end of the camp. So my dad had, brought the station wagon. We brought food. We brought, some beverages, let's just say, and hung out and made a little party of it. And, I've got pictures of Pelé in the parking lot of the facility where we were at, just hanging out with us. And so pretty cool and kind of lifelong memory.
That's pretty fun. And how good, I'm no soccer expert. I can talk to you all day long about other sports. How good was he? Like, is he the guy?
To me, he's the guy. He's such a mixture of talent, like we talk about in baseball, 5 tools, and he just did it all, athletic, he could jump, he could defend, he could take people on 1 versus 1, he could pass, so just so much talent to him, and he set the bar for the rest that came behind him, the Maradonas, the Messis, the Ronaldos, guys like that just, they're elite as well. The difference between all of them is minute, and some of it, you obviously get into this personal bias.
Sure.
To me, none of them are from my, family's native land, so got no dog in the race. But to me, he's the best all time.
That's pretty cool.
Which now we get
memory.
to talk to another best all time, right?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, let's transition that to a 5-tool player with Mike Owens. Mike, let me see if I can get all the job titles right here. So, head of Parks and Rec.
Director of Parks and Rec.
Yes. That's good for me though,
Yep.
because I normally try to promote people through the introductions, and also so I know that you're also, that puts you over the golf course and all that. Well, how does that work?
It does. My background is more golf. I've been a PGA pro for over 30 years now. So, and I've always helped the city manage that golf course. But since about 2019, they asked me to kind of look at more of the overall Parks and Rec, and I was, head over heels to do that. I'd been in the golf business for a long time, so I've really, embraced that Parks and Rec mode that I've kind of gotten into now. And golf is recreation. So, yeah, so under the umbrella of Parks and Rec, golf would be that. That is what some people do to recreate in this town. And I still have my hands on some things out there. I still do some of the high-level stuff, the planning and the budget and stuff like that. I've kind of gotten out of the day-to-day operations at the golf course, but to do some of these other things with the parks. But I've enjoyed life the last couple of years doing that. I think I've learned through this that, people like to recreate differently. You and Ricky talking about soccer, that's one thing. You have the traditional recreation things that you do, but I see people now that I'm in Parks and Rec, I see people just ride out and sit and enjoy the greenery. They may bring their lunch out there. They're not, that they're not recreating in that true sense of going out and getting some exercise and doing this, but they're exercising their mind or whatever, just to get out and see some things. So I'd say that's what, it kind of warms my heart to know that I'm part of that to help people, enjoy life here in Thomasville.
Mm-hmm. And kind of in the age of screens, right? Recreation probably is going to be even more important as we move on.
Yeah, well, and it goes to show you again, this podcast is always full of surprises. You would never thought you would hear the words Austin and Ricky talking soccer.
That's right.
That's just not in the script.
Yeah, exactly. But somebody who knows a lot, speaking to somebody who knows nothing.
But on a serious note, I know we're here to talk about a different topic, but quick 30-second rundown on the positive trend and everything positive that's going on at the golf course, because I know there's a lot of positivity going on at the golf course.
Golf in general has taken off, post COVID.
Post-COVID, probably.
Post-COVID. Yeah. I mean, everybody want to get out and do that. As in general, golf had struggled a little bit before that. You had a lot of golf courses, not as many players as you needed to fill those golf courses. And now, since COVID, people have kind of they've gotten their golf clubs out of the garage. They've gone out and played more. So golf in general has taken off. And at our golf course at Country Oaks here in town, it's no different. I mean, we have our rounds are up 60-70% since the late 2018, 2019 time. And that's great. And, we've done I've seen a different age dynamic out there. I see, lots of teenagers out there getting off their screens, which is good. All the high school and middle school teams are full every year. So that's good that we're able to provide them a golf course to play on. That's not always easy for some of these small towns that have, golf teams for their schools. But yeah, overall, it has been a huge increase, in the last 4 or 5 years, and we're happy to have it.
Yeah, it's been a great thing, and I always enjoy it when I go to Country Oaks. You'll run into all different stripes of people, and and I like that. Just you see a bigger swath of people playing.
You do. I mean, and that's the thing about golf. I mean, obviously, I'm not solely a golf person anymore, but golf is a good recreation, for anybody. It doesn't really matter what age. It doesn't really matter your ability. You can all get out there and compete. You're kind of competing against the golf course, not somebody else. That's hard to do with some other sports, whether it be tennis or, basketball or something like that. If you're trying to play tennis or basketball with somebody and there's hugely different abilities, it's hard to kind of do that together. Golf, it kind of equalizes that when you're out there on the golf course.
So Mike could play with Ricky and there'd be no problems.
There's a lot of problems. I'm such a big supporter of the golf course. For Mike's sake, I stay away.
Yeah,
it keeps everything in better shape.
I donate a lot of golf balls to the Country Oaks. There's a lot of mine sitting out in the woods out there.
Luckily, they don't have your name on it.
I know.
So you can't tell they're Austin's golf balls.
I know. If somebody hands me some with a name on it, I wouldn't take them because everybody would laugh at me there at Country Oaks. But let's get on to the podcast, Our main subject. We're going to talk a little bit of Paradise Park renovations and some other things going on. But so tell me, you were here in January.
I was.
And again, it's just kind of something on everybody's radar with Paradise Park and how really just some of the great changes that we've seen over there. But where are we at this point, and what features have been completed in phase 1?
Phase 1 is actually complete. We are winding down the official paperwork as far as the grant right now, but all the features out there have been completed. In fact, I was out there this morning looking around at some things, and so for all intents and purposes, phase one is done. We've restored a couple of historic things out there. We've restored the bandstand with the help of Landmarks, but that was really nice to get that restored. And also some of the carriageways, which were some of the ways that people would get through that park back in the day with their horses and carriages and things like that. So now it creates a little connectivity for us, but we've restored those. We've also added a bunch of, walking paths in the southern part of the park. And we did a lot of connectivity. We connected the parking lot. We connected the entrances to the park. There's 3 entrances along Broad. There's one up there at Hansel and Colton. So now all those entrances are now connected. So you can get to all different parts of the park, using those new paths. So I think that's pretty neat. And also we've kind of put what I would like to call a concrete oval. It's an oval that goes around and kind of centers that bandstand a little bit. And, it will create kind of that lawn effect in the middle. So when you do have events out there, whether it's using the bandstand or not using the bandstand, you have a central location where you could set up tents or set up, your chairs to listen to a concert and things like that. So that's kind of what we've done. And also we added some lighting, some pedestrian lighting, which is nice and warm. Not really designed to light up the park at night for use, because the park will still close at sunset, but it will light it up enough for safety and things like that. So,
and I was by the park a couple of weeks back, probably around 8:00 in the morning, and just such a large amount and diverse grouping of people walking around. It was so great to see. I actually sent the text to Mike's wife, to my boss, Christy, and said, you should see the park right now. It's awesome. And it's really cool to see. And I think you were going to say something about that.
I totally agree. And like I said, I was out there 10 minutes ago looking at some things, and there were probably 15 cars in the parking lot, and there were people pulling in, and they had their sneakers on and they had their workout stuff on. So it's nice to know they are driving to that park to do their workout and walk around on some of the new walking paths. And that's a good amenity to have. I mean, it's a good alternative to some of our other walking areas that can get kind of crowded. Frankly, Cherokee Park can get really crowded all the time. So it's nice to have a spot that may be a little closer to where you work or where you live. And I know there's a lot of people that work around there. So to prove Ricky's point, I've been out there at lunchtime before, and I see people, in their work outfits still, but they're going out there for an hour just to walk around on their lunch break. And that's, that just leads itself to all good things.
And you have a little bit more shade
at
Paradise Park than you do at Cherokee.
Yep.
So
shade is important. Well, let's move on to that phase one completed. So what are the main features of phase two?
Phase two, we're still in the very kind of early design stages, but what we're looking at right now, obviously first and foremost, and that's what everybody asked for, is we're looking at a restroom.
That's right. We're looking at a restroom.
We're looking at a restroom. So the restroom will be in phase two, hands down.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
That's the
number one thing to get done.
And
the amount of emails that we receive.
That's right. And I don't blame people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean asking that question.
Yes,
that's what I mean. And that's a great question.
I think people have been very appreciative of phase one. I think most everybody goes, and they include a restroom. So, and I wish it had happened in phase one. I think eventually everybody's going to be happy with what we end up doing in phase two. It's going to be a really, really complete park. So just be patient with us. But yeah, that's first on the agenda for phase two is a restroom. So we're looking at that. The other thing that we're going to do, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more in a little bit later, but we're taking about 5.5 acres of that park on the south side. It's kind of in an area that we encompassed with a walking pad. And all of this, by the way, Austin and Ricky, all of this this was done with a lot of plans laid out. So, we're not just going to phase one and then go, what can we do for phase two? We've already thought about phase two and phase three, as a matter of fact, for this park. So what we've laid out is something that's we're stacking on top of each other. So we built in phase one, and we're going to continue in phase two without having to do any, major renovations or things like that. So we're trying to think ahead as best we can. But this area in the south side of the park, we're going to actually restore to a longleaf pine ecosystem type of thing, which is, that's what this area is that the history of this area, you go back years and years before anybody was ever here. That's what was here. This, we had a longleaf pine ecosystem, and like you just described in the prescribed burning, that's how that's how those lands are managed. But so we're going to try to convert part of that park to that system, and we're going to be able to teach students about it. It's going to be an outdoor classroom, and it's going to be one of the only urban areas of longleaf pine forest that anybody's ever known. Most everything now is on private land, on plantation land out there where it's it's not rural, it's urban. I mean, it's not urban, it's rural out there.
It's hard to get to. It's hard to educate
get to,
people
and
on
then
it.
if you don't know somebody on a plantation or anything like that, it's hard to get to it. So, and a lot of the local students, they don't know anything about that history.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to have something in a park that is either walkable or a very, very, very short bus ride from at least 3 or 4 schools or churches that have preschools, that's going to be something we really look forward to in phase 2.
Yeah. And to me, to jump into that, like, it's kind of a cultural heritage thing. I mean, again, before this part of the world was settled, lightning strikes would cause fires, and so you had this huge longleaf canopy with the wiregrass ecosystem here long before it was settled. But also, I think if you're in New Orleans, kids need to learn about jazz. If kids around Washington, D.C. need to learn about their nation's capital, this is kind of a cultural heritage thing that for all of us, whether it has directly affected you or not, it has, And so I love that creativity that we're bringing to that of teaching these kids and not just saying there's something out there that you'll never see, but here's something you can see and watch how it goes.
As we talked about the kids and teaching, what are some of those features that'll be there for the kids to learn from eventually?
We're going to have one of the pavilions is going to be an outdoor classroom type thing. So we envision bringing students here in groups in classes. We're designing areas to park school buses so we can bring the buses onto the, to the park, and then bring them out there and, show them, and then be able to show them what this looks like. These animals are, this is what, this kind of ecosystem has for these animals, whether it's the certain birds or anything like that. So that's, and then to bring them out there and to, talk to them and show them at the same time I think that's going to be golden.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that it's not getting added onto Austin's job title.
That's right.
So they're actually going to get good education out of it. We've got some experts that'll be involved in this.
We've already been involved with the Thomasville City School System, so they're on board. Yeah. And so I believe they're going to provide, some of the staff to help teach those kids do some of that.
Yeah. So. And Tall Timbers is a part of that. They're a nonprofit organization that has really kind of been at the heart of a lot of fire ecosystem management.
They have. And I like to remind people that this is not me or my staff or any other staff getting out there and, and planting this wiregrass or doing any of these future prescribed burns that we might do. We're going to have the experts do that. We're going to have Tall Timbers has agreed to come help us do that. They're already planning as we speak for phase 2 to how to get some of that wiregrass planted in there. So, we're kind of working behind the scenes to get that done. It has to be the right time of the year. It has to be the right, growing season. So it's going to be a process, but I'm super excited to work with them. I've been very impressed with, Tall Timbers as they've been out there and the knowledge that they have. I mean, I'm excited, but I feel really good about how we'll move forward.
Yeah, it's a world-class research stations.
And obviously the benefit there is we've now put that out there, and we know that it's not going to be Austin, since he talked about prescribed burns at the beginning of the show.
That's right.
It's not him practicing.
It's not, no.
In order to get ready for when phase 2 is complete. So.
You have a lot of those guys, and I've talked to some of those guys. It's different between me and those guys that do it for a living. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of inherited
There's
knowledge.
A lot of stuff that's different between you and them.
That's right.
So
Amen,
let's get that clear.
Amen.
But switching gears a little bit, that's not the only part that we've got.
It's not.
Major renovations going on and plans.
I'm juggling 3 right now a little bit, and we'll start with the other one. Cassidy Pond Park is another one that we're getting almost to the final stages, getting ready to go out for a bid and some construction. Cassidy Pond Park is basically right now just a fishing pond, not much else. It's got a little pavilion, but we plan to add a natural walking trail around that pond We're going to add a little connectivity to some of the neighborhoods that we have in that area. And we're also going to build another restroom. So Austin, that's another
That's
restroom
right.
that we got.
Restroom
So
number 2. Here we go.
restroom number 2. But we're also we are really good partners with our local disc golf association, Red Hills Disc Golf Association. We have a 14-hole course in McIntyre Park, but they've really been interested in wanting to build an 18-hole course somewhere with a little bit more room. So we've always talked about Cassidy Pond Park in the last couple of years, and with their help, they've kind of helped design and they're not going to build. We're going to build it, but they've helped us design it. So we're going to build an 18-hole disc golf course in that park as well. We designed it where it doesn't really interact with the walking trail that much, a little bit, but that's a huge park out there. So we're going to go through some of the wooded areas, and that's really foreign to me. I've had to learn a little bit as I've become this Parks and Rec guy. I've learned about disc golf a little bit. Very different than traditional golf, which I'm used to. Traditional golf has wide open fairways, and you hit the ball straight just to keep it in the fairway. In disc golf, people like to play in the woods a little bit. They like to have trees in their way, and they can bend their disc around there. So they're really excited about some of the opportunities to have a top-notch local disc golf course here in Thomasville. So that's kind of Cassidy Pond Park, and that's one thing we're going to do there.
That's the difference between Mike and I. I'm an expert at playing golf in the woods.
That's right.
I try to keep my ball in the fairway.
Yeah, mine makes its way there more often than not. So just to recap: walking trail, pavilion,
new pavilion, a new parking area, a new restroom, and an 18-hole disc golf course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And there's and not only Cassidy, but we've got a lot of excitement brewing about Balfour as well.
We do on the south side of town. Balfour's not quite as far along in the planning stage, so Cassidy's a little bit ahead right now. But Balfour Park is a park it's been a while since we've done anything in that park, so I'm really excited about doing something on that side of town that we haven't done in a while. But we're looking at adding a kind of a really, really nice pavilion that's really good for gatherings, whether it be family reunions or birthday parties and things like that. So and more restrooms, Austin. So here we are with more restrooms. So a new kind of gathering facility. I call it like an oversized pavilion, supersized, whatever it is. But also a new playground, and what everybody wants that talks a lot about is some sort of water feature or splash pad. That park used to have the municipal pool back in the day, and unfortunately it got to a point where it was not sustainable anymore in the late 90s. So we had to shut it down, and we partnered with the Y to help, get some of the youth around to have access to pools. And in these days, maybe a pool is not the smartest spend of your money. It's very hard to maintain, very expensive to maintain, but a splash pad can get some of those water features, can cool you off in the summer, and it's a little bit more manageable as far as, how much it costs to maintain during the year. So that's kind of what we've got planned for that park.
And that'll be phase one. There's multiple phases.
That'll be phase one of that one. That's a very large park as well. So we're kind of concentrating on a central part of that park right now. But when we get to the exterior part of that park, that'd be phase two. Yes.
And some cleaned up parking as well.
Yeah, some cleaned up parking. That's one thing about that I really would like to do in all of our parks is, really concentrate, clean up that parking so we have definite areas to park, which makes it safer. Because you don't want too many cars driving around in your park trying to find a place to park when there's kids running around. So,
and I believe cleaned up sight lines and things of that nature are part of this phase as well.
It is. Yep.
That's a public safety matter, and
it
makes
is.
people
You
feel
got to be able to see where you're going and see the people that are out there.
Because Balfour has a lot of potential to me. Like there's just kind of that's a great kind of where it is a great section right there, and there's just kind of so I'm excited to see what's going to go on there. So
and the thing I'm excited about is these are three different kind of parks. They all have different amenities, and they're all in different locations in our town. So it's nice to be able to not concentrate on one area. It's nice to be able to not concentrate on one certain kind of amenity, but we're given different things for these different parks.
Yeah, kudos to you and Kenny. I hate to give Kenny credit, but I will. And I do like giving city council credit. I mean, but there's been several council, and this has been a long process to get through all these parks. A lot of budgeting stuff that happened a while back ago. So I really have been, it's been really cool to see. I mean, it seems like this plan has been going on for maybe like 10 years or so. So we're seeing the fruition of it.
It's coming to fruition. And I will say that it does help to have the backing of senior leadership in the city. And I do. And that's just not, city manager or assistant city manager, but it's also city council. I mean, the current city council that we have has put parks at the top of their priority list. And I think that's they really see the benefit of having a good park system for their constituents. And so, unfortunately, it takes money to do that. And, that's another thing that we, it's a really delicate situation. And you want to spend money on your parks, but you got to spend money on other stuff too. So it's a really tough job, to try to figure out how to slice that pie.
Yeah.
You can only get sliced so much.
You talk about that support. That support's always also there with the public, because obviously we have the public-private combination with the funding over at Paradise.
Correct. I mean, there are some really, really good people in this town that have also figured out that, donating money to help some of these parks is a very good spend of some of their funds. I mean, it enhances the parks. It makes it better for everyone here. And like I said, a good park system is just such a good thing for a small town.
So as we talk about Balfour and Cassidy, what do you think will be the impact for those two communities with the renovations at both of those parks?
What I like to think about in parks sometimes, Ricky, is you have your neighborhood parks, and they're great, but they don't usually have the amenities, and you get people usually walking to them. I mean, maybe you get the kids or the parents in the area walk over there. What I'm excited about with these three that we're talking about, and Paradise could even jump a little step past this will make these a community park. And what I mean by that is they'll have features, whether it's a splash pad, whether it's a playground area, whether it's a disc golf course or a walking trail. You will get people that will get in their car and drive from another side of town to that park for those amenities. And that's what I mean by community park. So, that's why some of these parks were chosen, is that they had the ability to be a community park. So that a good park system has some good community parks, but also has good neighborhood parks. And you don't need too many. You need to have a nice balance of all that. And so I think that's what these parks can be. And I think Paradise even could jump up. It could be a regional park. It could be even where people are driving in from out of town, other towns. It could be tourism based, where they're going to say, hey, we want to drive over to Thomasville and see this Paradise Park. I've heard, they've got this longleaf pine forest out there, and they got signs out there describing what this is. I'm going to take my kids out there. We're going to talk about them. So they're going to be driving from, other towns to come to that.
Well, you can certainly make a day out of it, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you're at Paradise, you come to see the park, hang out with the kids, walk down a couple blocks to downtown.
The location of Paradise Park is superb. When you're a block away from the downtown. And it's just, you can't ask for anything more. And that's what makes that unique. You don't have that 20 acres, very often in a downtown. You just don't. Usually everything by this day and age has been bought up and sliced up and built on and this, that, and the other. And that park has not. And that's a jewel in our community for that.
So let's paint this picture on how this looks. You bring the family to the park. You walk down the block. Mom could start shopping. Dad could go in, grab a drink while mom shops. And now with the new entertainment district, you will be able to walk through the streets, with your open container, not be consolidated into that location while mom shops. And then you end the day back at the park so that the kids can get more features at the park. So I mean, it really is a full day for the family.
You throw the shopping and dining in there. You throw the amphitheater in there. You throw the Big Oak. It's not that far away. That's very educational. So yeah, there's a lot of good things happening downtown.
Yeah, and again, all that a lot of good things happening everywhere. But no matter where a tourist comes, that money that they bring, we're appreciative of it all. It helps us all. So anyway, just super excited about that. Super excited about all these parks and what they're going to bring to the table for our community. Well, let's real quickly just kind of go over the funding. We do talk about that a lot on Thomasville Insights, and I think it's important. Our citizens need to know where the money is coming from. We've talked some about Paradise Park, but if you want to go over phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 real quickly, and then we'll move on to the others as well.
Funding is tough. I talked about it a while ago. There's a certain pie that you have to slice up, and most of our park project funding comes from what we call SPLOST, which is our Special Local Option Sales Tax. And unfortunately, we have to share that money with the street repaving, with some, infrastructure, whether it's water or sewer or anything like that. So that's our only really source, not our only source, but our main source of income for capital improvements and things like that. And what we did at Paradise Phase 1 and what we did at Balfour, which is basically a Balfour Phase 1, is we combined that with a grant from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So, and they require a match. So we got $200,000 for Paradise Phase 1 from that grant, and we matched that and added some more from SPLOST to make that a little over $1.4 million project. And we're doing basically the same thing at Balfour for that Land and Water grant, but we were able to get $500,000 for that one, and we had to match it, our $500,000, and we're going to add a little bit more. That park will roughly be about the same as Paradise Phase 1, 1.5 million total project. So that Land and Water is a grant we've used over the years. Almost every park we have, we've gotten some money. So that's a really good source of grant funding for us. Unfortunately, it does require a match. So they just won't give us the money. We have to put up some of our own money to do that. But still, all in all, basically the way I look at it is that $500,000 grant we got at Balfour is $500,000 we can spend elsewhere at other parks. So that's the way I look at some of these grants. And for Paradise Phase 2, we looked and found a Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program grant. And that is going to be a larger grant. That's going to be about $3 million. So we're getting grant money for that. And the beauty of this Phase 2, and this, you went back to what you asked me a while ago, there's some really, really good people in this town that realize that, spending some of their money can really help. They realize the city just doesn't have the funds to do all these parks like that. We just don't. And so they were able to raise, we were able to raise, the Friends of Paradise Park was able to raise like $1.5 million locally to match that grant, because that Georgia Outdoor grant also has a match. They just won't give you $3 million. You have to match it. So we were able to get local funding about 1.5 to match that grant. So this total project for Phase 2 in Paradise is going to be, north of $4 million. Yeah. And it's
that's not city funds.
And that's not city funds. So that's money that we can save and spend elsewhere. So, a lot of towns have a property tax, or a lot of cities have a property tax, and we don't. We're one of the few in Georgia that doesn't have a property tax. And usually that property tax can help to go to things like, street repaving or some of those infrastructure, the water and the sewer. And that would free up our SPLOST, be more for recreation. We could have more money for our rec projects. But as we speak right now, we don't have that. So we have to slice that pie very carefully. And it's very important to look at these grants to help us with that.
Well, just jumping in there real quick, just to ask, I know you've answered this question before, sure. and I've been in some meetings. You've had some good, hard questions or good questions,
yes.
Right? On the one hand, we have a lot of infrastructure costs coming up. We got some big things in the budget coming. And then somebody said, well, why are you spending money on parks? Like, kind of walk me through that of budgeting, because, these things take a whole lot of time. Like, again, this plan to do this was happened years ago.
It did.
But,
yep.
kind of walk me through that kind of question.
I think that goes back to, obviously some of the infrastructure is important, but I would argue that the infrastructure of the parks is very important too, because if you let a park go for years and years and don't do anything to it, it's going to cost even more to rehab it, refurb it, and do whatever you want to with it. So you don't need to let a park sit and not have any, anything done to it for 20, 30, 40 years, which we've done. I mean, there's some parks out there, and Balfour is a good example. We haven't done anything to that park since the 70s probably. And now we're kind of
replacing a bench isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot more money that goes into upkeep than replacing a bench.
I mean, we want and we need our parks to. I mean, that's for everybody. A park doesn't care, how old you are or whatever. A park is there for everybody, and I think that's that. You can't put too much of a price on that, and that's
exactly.
That's my argument with that. Is I know some of those sewer lines and water lines are important, but I think my parks are too.
That's right, and that's a quality of life thing.
Quality of life,
but
yes.
also again, just budgeting. Like you don't plan these things willy nilly. Like this has been a 10-year process,
Yes.
maybe even longer than that. So
I mean,
when it comes down the pipe, it comes down the pipe.
It does, and we did this parks master plan a few years ago. Like we talked about it for a long time. We actually did it and finished it, in 2022, I think. So, but that gives us a roadmap a little bit. And when we came in here and we got some help to look at all our parks, the condition they were in, what they really needed to be, and we got a pecking order. And then so we've got ways to look at it to figure out. Now, as we get funding, we start going down that checklist. And unfortunately, what we priced out in 2021, 2022 is a lot more expensive now. So that's never
for everybody.
For everybody, and not just for parks. That's for everything.
And if you look at that, that's a great approach. Here's the plan. Now let's start spending.
Right.
Sometimes we could get into situations where we make mistakes. I'm not talking about us as an organization. Even at home, you just might start doing something and put a plan in place, and you just spent money for no reason.
Right.
So I think we do a great job of that. Whether it's our utility work, there's that old saying of get the work done underground first, and then we'll repave.
Exactly.
Not repave and then the work underground. So wise spending, and sometimes that takes a lot of patience.
It does, and it's frustrating. I know for some citizens out there because they may wonder why my street's not being repaved, but we as an organization we have a plan. We have to redo the water and the sewer under this road, and that's going to be next year. So why are we going to repave this road when we have to tear it up to put that water and sewer? Let's wait till we do the water and sewer, and then we can repave it after that. So.
Let me add one more thing,
Sure.
Because I think it's important to note this. Some of the grants that we receive, specifically like land and water, things of that nature, they come with tie-ins in regards to what we can do in the future with those areas, correct?
Very, very good thought. If you look at most of our parks, you will see an emblem out there with that land and water logo on there. And you're right. All these grants come with a caveat that they're not going to give us money and then have us sell this park 5 years later to become a condo place. So all of these parks, once we get these grants, they are locked in. They have to remain a green space. It doesn't mean we can't go change things, but we could make a park into a different kind of park or whatever, but it has to be open to the public and a green space forever. And that's it just locks us in.
And we have a lot of those.
Almost every park that we have, including the golf course, has some sort of land and water grant attached to us. So yeah, the vast majority of our parks are locked in.
All right. Sounds good. Kind of wrapping up our discussion on this, but when would it be safe to say all three parks would be completed? I know we're not going to hold you to it because there's a lot of variables here, but
I've learned too. Also, I'm not going to go out there too far on a limb.
We are recording this, so what he says is recorded.
Yeah, but I've got this one down pat. Paradise Park Phase 1, like I said, is complete, and we'll kind of go in order of what I think is going to happen. The next one, Cassidy, will be complete sometime in 2026. I'm hoping by mid-2026. That might bleed over into about this time next year, August, September. Balfour is a little bit behind that. We're not quite as far along in the design stage. I would like to say that we can get Balfour done by the end of 2026. It could bleed over into 2027. We'll have to wait and see how things go. Paradise is third in line. Paradise Park Phase 2 is third in line right there. I don't foresee construction starting until mid next year, and I definitely see this one bleeding over into mid 2027. Hopefully not past summer of 2027, but that's kind of where we are with those three.
Sounds good.
It's Austin's favorite time of the show.
All right, here we go. Sounds of the city. We have the sound of the month. So again, you can just guess. And again, as I tell the audience, sometimes their guesses are right. I'm not going to tell them, tell you guys if your guess is right.
Sometimes the guesses are wrong, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the time it's wrong. Ricky got lucky a couple of months ago. But anyway, so here we go. Sound of the city. Try to do an easy one. All right.
It's either a blower or a weed eater. I would say blower.
Okay. All right. Ricky, last time you changing your guess from last time, or
Sounds like when I shaved this morning. I'm sticking to my old guess, which is probably miles away.
which
I think
is
I said some type of hacksaw. Or
yeah,
something.
chainsaw. I think was
something like that.
So again, don't forget to on Facebook, just send us your comments, and the winners will be announced in the October podcast. And again, we have some cool marketing stuff to give away, so anyway, we hope everybody participates online. It's always fun to see what people are coming up with, and again, thank you all for participating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Mike, we appreciate you being on such an important topic, so many pieces of it. So we really appreciate you spending some time with us, and good luck the rest of the way with all these projects. And again, it's not just an individual effort; it's a pure team effort with the planning department, engineering department, and so many other areas that play a role. So thank you to all of you that are doing all of this, and obviously, like we said, thank you to leadership for getting behind it. Very important, and we're looking forward to seeing the end of it.
I have to. Maybe we'll have other parks by the time these three are done. We'll have
there'll be some more.
Oh yeah, there will be.
Yep.
All right, so let's wrap up the show. Let's talk about a couple of upcoming events that we have. We've got Let's Discuss Energy Efficiency. That'll be on September 23rd at 5:30 to 6:30 Municipal Building. Great opportunity to learn how to keep those costs down at the home. So again, September 23rd, 5:30, 6:30 at the Municipal Building. Police Department will host their annual Faith in Blue Fall Festival and Trunk or Treat. That one always gets me. Saturday, October 11, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Thomas County Public Library parking lot, and Austin will be dressed up, is the rumor in the street. And then we've got another cool event going on, or cool workshop going on. That'll be a rain barrel workshop. This is a rain barrel workshop in conjunction with the stormwater utility fee that can help create a credit for your account. And more information on all that on the credits will come out as we go on in the fall months. But the Rain Barrel Workshop will take place on Tuesday, October 14 from 5:30 to 7:30, and Wednesday, October 15 from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., both at the Municipal Building.
All right, well, thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Mike. Again, always appreciate the hard work you guys do, and appreciate everyone to listening. I want to remind everyone to subscribe to us on your favorite or least favorite podcast listening app. Any feedback you get, give to us. We appreciate, and we will talk to you next time.
You've been listening to Thomasville Insights with the City of Thomasville. The show is produced by the City of Thomasville Marketing Department. The show's music is by pond5.com. To learn more about the City of Thomasville, visit thomasville.org or follow us on social media. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening app so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening.